But David and Shaun's career was not that. Hardy
It was like
Boys
3 years
started
later.
in 77.
Right.
Partridge Family ended in 73.
74.
74.
Yeah.
So when we were like, oh my God, that's that David Cassidy from back in the day.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Shaun Squad Society podcast with your host, myself, Penny,
Cindy.
Dame Madonna.
And Doris.
invite you to share our love and enthusiasm for all things Shaun Cassidy, from his teen idol days to his recent adventure back on the road again. Please join us for our stories and memories that connected us to those happy days that helped create a Shaun Squad Society podcast. Well, welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the Shaun Squad Society podcast. Today is going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be talking about the brothers, and not like the Groucho brothers or whoever they were back in the day.
The Jackson brothers, the Osmond brothers.
These are different brothers.
Yeah, we're going to talk about different brothers. The Teen Idol brothers, the Heartthrobs brothers. Let's see, who would that be? Oh, how about they have a same last name? Let's think about it. How about Shaun and David today?
Shaun and David.
Let's talk Shaun and David.
What a special relationship they had.
They did. And I love it when Shaun gives him tribute in his concerts.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that is the best, yeah. But, we're going to kind of go back to their beginning and where they started and kind of how they followed each other, with David starting in TV as a young age, and then Shaun starting TV at an older, teenage age.
Yes.
And then same thing, David then started with music, Shaun starting with music. They both did more than just the Hardy Boys and the Partridge Family. Yeah. David, 1968, Dragnet. He started TV at a really young age, before he became Keith Partridge on the Partridge Family, which is one of our favorite roles.
Yeah.
And
he started very young. He was a little boy, and he looked like a little boy, actually, when he started the Partridge Family in the early episodes.
He did.
But those early TV shows you're mentioning, name off a few of them.
Dragnet, The Survivor in 1969, Ironside, Adam 12, Bonanza, Marcus Welby, MD.
If it was on TV, he was
in it. Mod Squad, all that was before the Partridge Family.
So I think he really wanted to be an actor.
But, list goes on and on and on. He was in Blossom. Do you guys remember watching Blossom?
Yes, but I don't remember him in there.
I never saw the episode, or I forgot I saw the episode.
Shaun, went on to follow in his footsteps with TV appearances and TV shows. And, we know Shaun as the hunky detective.
Joe Hardy.
Yeah, Joe Hardy.
Now, Penny, did Shaun have I don't think Shaun had like a list of pre-Hardy Boys TV that he actually got to do. Is that correct?
That's correct. We already did in season 1, some of our favorite shows that Shaun did. He did not appear in like Bonanza, Adam 12, a lot of them did. But I do have a fun fact for you here. Shaun and David both did appear in Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
Yes.
They did. We know we mentioned Shaun in there, but David did it too.
Yeah, David was in a series.
That's very good. That's a good fact. I didn't realize that.
I never saw it. Now I'm going to have to go look for it.
I know, I'm going to have to watch that one too. And so the brothers had so much in common from their TV, their acting debuts, and let's talk about their music. Shaun started singing before David, didn't he?
Right, Dame? David did?
Yeah, he was, with Shaun, he was like 13, and he would do this in L.A. with his friends. He started a band at age 13.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What was it called?
Longfellow?
Yeah, Longfellows. Yeah.
Dame, I have a question.
Yes.
So there was Shaun Cassidy, all of 13 years old, singing in L.A. with his band. Wasn't he a little too young to be getting in those bars? Because usually you do L.A. like, I think, a Sunset Strip.
I don't think there's an age.
Well, he had that big brother, that he watched. So that made a difference too. And that's why we're talking about David and Shaun, how they correlated with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's watching that big brother. My little sister used to watch me. Same idea.
Same thing,
Well, what about the records, though, Dame? Didn't they have a...
They both did really well. Like David sold 3 soundtrack albums, 24 singles, 12 studio albums, 3 live albums, and Shaun did 5 studio albums. He did something live like that too, and then 17 singles. They did so much together. From Shaun watching his brother, he was a mentor for his brother. David was.
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
These teen idols all have very similar paths, and they get them while they're young. And then they condition them. And Cindy and I talked about this, and that makes sense. And that turns them into an idol. But if you think about it, they all had a similar upbringing with brilliant parents and supportive families.
Right.
And then Cindy and I were talking about how we wish that David and Shaun had put one together, even though they did Broadway together.
Oh, right. They didn't do an album together.
No,
they
never
didn't.
did.
They only sang together when they did the Broadway. But at least they got to perform together there. But we wish they had done an album together.
Wouldn't that have been nice?
Well, speak of that, yeah. Oh my! But speak of acting and TV and stuff, I don't think they, ever even acted together on a TV show that I could find. But Shaun did create Ruby and the Rockets, and and David was, he starred on it.
Shaun produced it, so he
Shaun
wasn't in it.
Yeah, but wasn't in it. So I thought that was a lot of fun too.
That is a lot of fun.
And again, there was music in it that Shaun either, helped write or did the instrumentals.
It was like a family collaboration because Patrick was in it.
Yeah, and Ryan was more
doing a set.
Yeah, doing the set. But Shirley even made a guest.
She did
guest appearance in there as the grandmother to Ruby.
She did. That was fun. But it was only one season, I think, right?
Yeah.
It only went one
Yeah,
season.
but
it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But back to, the Partridge Family. And that started in 1970. And then Shaun and the Hardy Boys, what was that, 77?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think January 77 was Hardy Boys starting that year.
Yes, it was. And I made this mention once before on our podcast that we were so young that we didn't realize. It seemed like it was a million years later, but David and Shaun's career was not that. Hardy
Boys
like
3 years
started
later.
in 77.
Right.
Partridge Family ended in 73.
Four.
74.
Yeah.
So when we were like, oh my God, that's that David Cassidy from back in the day.
Yes.
When it was only 3 years later.
Right.
But it did seem like a lifetime.
Yeah, like we were just saying, I think David groomed a path for Shaun, but then...
Definitely.
Yeah, but Shaun is always more the big brother. He always seemed like
mature.
The older brother, the
mature.
big brother. But I didn't know until... I think, Doris, we were talking the other day, and you told me that David was 8 years older than Shaun.
Yeah, he's 8 years older.
And I thought it was just like maybe 4 or 5, but I didn't realize it was 8 years. Yeah.
I knew David was the older brother, but I didn't know how many years until I started doing a little more research. But David recorded 10 albums when he went to his job, and they didn't even know that he could sing.
Right.
But they knew then because he took off in the Partridge, and that really helped him when I think I love you. That really
and Cherish, but there was a lot of them. Yeah, I don't know. I know Shaun was nominated for awards, but I don't know that he ever won one.
Yeah, Shaun said he didn't have the drive to be, what David was, but he was ready for it if it did come his way. But then David got tired of being in the public eye. He actually, in retrospect, they wrote this is quote, that he got tired of the girl groupies, and they were the ones that got to him most.
Right.
And so it drove him crazy. He said they wanted him to be Keith. They really wanted him just to be Keith, so it bothered him.
Right.
But I thought, he had his own talent naturally, but that's probably what drove him away and them towards him. But Shaun was always saved by different things that he watched his brother David go through. He learned from his brother.
Yeah, but Shaun and David, with their singing and their acting, they were totally different.
Oh, yeah.
With Keith Partridge being almost like a teen idol in the Partridge Family.
It just developed into that.
Yeah, where Shaun was a boy detective. But he also developed into a teen idol with the Hardy Boys because he started singing on the show and everything.
And did you know why Shaun wanted the Hardy Boys really bad? because his dad was in Colombo a lot.
That's
and that
right.
was a murder
yes,
mystery.
murder mystery.
type
I
show.
remember that.
So Shaun, when this came along for Hardy Boys, he really wanted it.
yeah. And didn't I just say that David did a show in Colombo? I'll have to look again and
Yeah,
just be
because
sure,
their dad was
but-
on there a lot.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to Dame's point, what she was saying about David gave up recording and the whole business, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
Later.
because David Cassidy did not want to be Keith Partridge.
Yeah.
Right.
And his
No, he didn't.
audience couldn't separate the two characters,
Right.
the man from the character, because it was so closely related that this guy
Yeah.
was a singer on a TV show.
But it was just that
Was-
machine,
But,
you know?
but
Like, it just-
I'm not even
So
talking
he-
about the Teen
Yeah,
Idol machine.
no,
I'm
but
talking
like-
about
No.
how girls feel, how they
So guess
felt.
what he did? He traded all these girls for 17 horses.
That's what I was going to say. He actually, when he gave that
Racehorses.
up, he did what he loved. He bought
Yes.
racehorses and raised horses, and pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found within a year of its premiere, Cassidy was a multi-gold, multi-platinum certified recording artist and a millionaire with a fan club membership outnumbering those of Elvis Presley and the Beatles.
Oh, I had that too.
Yeah.
With the
Right.
records. I was
Yeah.
going to talk about that with the records because something so new that I
Yeah.
had learned when I saw about the records that it was Elvis Presley, that he was right up there with them, and the Beatles even. He had a bigger fan club membership than even the Beatles or Elvis Presley.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Shaun had three multi-platinum albums, many top 10 hits, and Cindy and I were talking about how they both, Shaun and David, were at that Houston's. How do you say that?
Astrodome?
Yeah, we were talking
Astrodome.
about that. And then they both of them at New York's Madison Square Garden, both of them sold out in
And
both of
it's-
those places.
It's huge when you sell
That's
out
what
the
I'm saying, but-
garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both brothers were. That's how you put them together too. That they
Right.
were huge. But to put David Cassidy there as with the Beatles and Elvis, that he had a bigger fan club. Penny and I both realized that is huge. And David was the world's highest paid performer by the age of 21. He had the biggest fan club, like we said. He broke the box office records at New York's Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can
So
you imagine
it's
Shaun, how he
amazing.
felt when Shaun finally made it to go to Madison Square Garden?
Oh, my God.
Knowing that his brother did it. And he's like, now I'm here.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
gotta be so
from
fun.
having both of them having top TV
Oh.
shows and then going to Madison Square Garden.
And didn't David say, well, Shaun said he got into being a teen idol because it was a good way to meet girls?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's funny.
yeah.
And then he was running away from him.
And then he's running away from him.
Yeah.
Well, you can only handle so much of that, I'm sure.
Oh my
It's
God.
But
gotta be
what's so
overwhelming.
cool is Shaun's out there now. He's out there touring now.
Mhm.
So who knows what'll happen with this? I'm going to Texas and I get to be on the same front row again. I'm so excited. Shaun will keep growing.
Well,
Yeah.
Dame, if you don't have any more fun facts about, the relationship, the comparison, I should say, of David and Shaun and their music.
Well, I was thinking about their first singles. Didn't you have information on their first singles?
Well, with their singles, I know with David, I Think I Love You was amazing. I mean, that just took off.
I think I love you, so what am I so afraid of? I'm afraid that I'm not sure of. A love there is no cure for.
And then with Shaun, I know that how do you say that? Come on, girls.
The
The
Do
do
Run
Run, run.
that was huge too, and those singles just took off on them.
Later on Monday and my heart stood still. The do run, the do run. Somebody told me that her name was Jill. The do run, the do run.
So they both had gold records
Yes,
for their
both
first
of them.
single.
First, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about big brother and little brother.
Yeah. You know, back in the day, I've heard of gold records and stuff back in the 70s, but now you hear about platinum, double platinum. But did they have like
Yeah.
platinum and stuff back
Yeah.
in the
Well, if you sold platinum, you were I don't even
Well-
know if you, cause gold was huge. If
Yeah,
you,
gold. That's what I.
if
That's
you
where I thought it
made
stopped.
double
Yeah.
platinum back in the 70s, you were doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even what, like you guys were talking about this, the Do Run Run, it actually was number 17 even on the German charts in April of 1977.
That's
Yeah.
when
And
it
this was-
started.
Right.
And this was the same year David Cassidy's song, Getting It on the Street,
Street.
reached number 12.
Yeah, and the same chart.
Oh.
And then
year.
the Do Run Run was
Yeah.
number 1
Yeah.
on our U.S. Billboard Hot 100. So that was really neat.
So they were on
And
the
then
chart
Shaun-
together.
Yeah.
And Shaun recorded the song in 1977. His version hit number 1, as we were just saying, the Do Run Run.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard
July
for me to say
77.
It's,
Yes.
Yeah. Do run, do run.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's and I love that at the end of his shows, he sings
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I have a little tidbit too about it. Says David recalls that his half brother was beginning to get interested in acting because he hung around the set a lot while they're doing the Partridge
Right.
Family, and they tried to discourage it. David said no. His mom said no, you're too young. So apparently, Shaun couldn't even go on any auditions till he was 18.
He was out of school. Yeah.
Yep.
But at 13, he started
Yeah.
doing his record or his
His
group
yeah.
of
At
music
12,
group,
yeah, and at 12 he got a guitar. His first guitar was at age 12.
Yeah.
and
So
he took off.
they were trying to
if you-
push him away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you think about it, that all of these guys that we've been talking about, including David,
Mhm.
they all come from parents that are quite talented, but their parents were supportive.
Yeah,
or a good
sometimes
mom.
in a family like that, when your family is in that business, sometimes you just
Right.
go into it. So he just kind of followed the family business.
Right. Fun fact though
Same.
on the Ruby and the Rockets. Do you guys know what David's name was in Ruby and the Rockets?
Can't think of it.
David Gallagher.
Tell us.
David Gallagher.
Patrick was Patrick Gallagher. I just thought that was fun to.
Oh, so they used their
Use the
real
same
They
names.
used their
first
real
name.
names. Yeah, they used their real first names.
And I'm wondering how Shirley got to use her real name in the Partridge Family, but David didn't. How come they used Shirley's real name?
Because
I
they
know.
didn't want it to be the Cassidy family. No,
though
I'm
it
being
could've
been.
serious
Yeah.
here. When you write
Yeah.
a TV show and you got so many people from the same family, you don't want everybody using their first names because you already had these girls getting David confused with Keith.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he used his real first name?
That's true. Very good point,
That's-
Therese.
it just wouldn't have,
Right.
it would have been a train wreck of all
Yeah.
kinds of proportions.
For sure.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the name Shirley was popular in that day,
Yeah.
and so maybe that's why they kept that.
Oh, remember her first name was Connie.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
remember that first episode that we
Yes.
found, Connie?
It was
It-
Connie.
It just didn't fit her.
I guess not. So
Yeah,
that's why they
yeah.
kept
She's
Shirley.
a Shirley.
Yeah.
She surely is a Shirley.
Yes, for sure. All right. All right, now on to the next phase of their careers, which was the teen idol status. So they get into these TV shows, then they do all their records, the records start going, and guess what? It vamps up into their teen idol status. So David, of course, we talked about, he went crazy with being a teen idol. That was actually happened unexpectedly because he did not plan for this to happen. But I think Shaun may have kind of known it was going to happen when Shaun started it.
Oh, I think he saw it coming, especially when the lawful
Yeah.
publications started
yeah,
Right.
coming after him.
He was next on the train, he said.
Yes.
He knew that eventually this was going to happen. So I think he had a little bit more idea that this was the future. But David had no idea.
Right.
So this blindsided him. But Shaun, you know, he went into the teen idol status knowing from David what he kind of could expect from it. So both teen idols, and I don't know, not for very long though, like maybe 3-4 years.
Yeah, Shaun,
Possibly.
Shaun didn't ride that teen idol train for
No, and David too, he was done by
yeah.
74. He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm done.
I don't know. Do people ride that train longer than 3 or 4
That's
years?
hard. I
Yeah.
can't imagine. That's a hard
I mean,
schedule.
yeah.
Yeah.
Doing TV
you
shows
didn't
and
rest.
concerts.
How could you be a teen idol more than the years that your fans are teens? That's
Right.
the whole thing. You
Right.
gotta,
Well, but
you can't, you're gonna grow up and so are they.
Right.
But yeah, look at how old we are, and we still follow our teen idol.
Well, that's why Shaun says we're just continuing from that.
We're so thankful, aren't we, that not only that we can see Shaun, but that we made friendship through Shaun.
Yeah,
Oh,
and he said
absolutely.
he
Yeah.
also said our relationship was not finished, was not done. Like he
Yeah.
was continuing this relationship that he thought was very special.
Right.
Right.
All right, and then after teen idol status, what happened?
Well, they went to Broadway.
They went to Broadway.
And it was inevitable. Think about it. Who were their parents? Shirley
Yes.
Jones and Jack Cassidy. You can't, and David, his mom, Evelyn Ward.
Yeah. Oh my God, I
You're
love her.
not
What a
gonna not be on Broadway somehow.
right.
You're a little kid and you're standing in the wings and you're watching your dad do this, and you're just it's in your blood.
And
Actually.
David was little too, like he was 3 or 4, and he said, "That's my daddy."
Yeah,
on the
you're
stage.
in the wings backstage.
And he was in awe.
little, watching that. So we knew that eventually Shaun and David were going to wind up on Broadway, and thank God they wound up together.
Yes.
Yes, David talked Shaun into doing Blood Brothers.
Yes.
David talked Shaun into doing
That
Blood
was so
Brothers.
nice of David.
Shaun, I am so grateful that he did Blood Brothers with his brother. And I really wanted to see that show, but then he started working on his TV show, American Gothic, and wouldn't tour with Blood
Yes,
Brothers.
he had other
Yeah,
projects
he had
going
other
on.
projects,
So he was
yeah.
kind of hesitating to do it. But I think now he's realizing, I'm glad I did that.
But I had my ticket, bought my ticket and everything. At the time, Danny Bonaducci was working in Chicago at a radio station called The Loop, and he had a lunch with David Cassidy to meet and have lunch with Danny and David. And I got tickets, and I got to have lunch with Danny and David and
No
about
way.
20 other people. And it was the night of Blood Brothers was, get this, September 27th. It was
And guess
Shaun's
what day that is?
birthday.
What day is that?
Yeah.
So there we were having lunch, and I yell out because I'm so shy. It's a live broadcast. It really is a radio station live broadcast with David Cassidy and about 20 people, and I yell out, "Happy birthday, Shaun!"
As you would.
out of nowhere.
We all
should.
should.
That's
And
awesome.
David Cassidy goes, "Yes, today is my brother Shaun's birthday." And we all sang happy birthday to Shaun on the
Aw.
air.
Don't you
at
wish
the
you had
Loop.
that recorded?
I do. I asked Danny for it several times, but they never got me that tape.
Wow. That is
He
awesome.
needs to.
That was the first night I went. The second night I went, I had my tickets, like I said. I went, and there was David's wife at the time was Sue.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
David had brought Sue and his son, Bo. Bo was like 5. And it's kind of funny because we said David watched Jack at 4 or 5.
Right.
Well, there was Bo watching David
Oh,
at 4
right.
or 5.
Right.
And David brought Bo, and they were outside the theater. And I was standing there waiting with my ticket to go in. And Sue came up. She remembered that I was the crazy one who yelled out, "Happy birthday!"
Oh, no.
And she just came over and said hi and everything.
Oh, that was nice.
It was a really good time. I enjoyed that. That is one of my favorite
That's awesome.
memories because I got to have lunch with David Cassidy and Danny Bonaducci and see Blood Brothers on Shaun Cassidy's birthday.
Oh, my.
Memory.
And why was Danny there? Why was he having this lunch?
Because Danny worked as the morning guy on WLUP, The Loop, and it was a promo.
Promo for the radio
Because-
station.
Well, Danny, you won't have David Cassidy come to town and not put him with Danny.
Right?
So
I saw them in concert together
So
before.
They said, well, let's do this lunch and invite some listeners and give out some tickets to Blood Brothers, and
Yeah.
there it is.
Oh, so you got your ticket for free.
I had 2 tickets. One I bought, and I didn't realize they were going to send us all to see Blood Brothers.
Oh, okay.
As much fun as I had having lunch with David Cassidy, I had more fun seeing him in Blood Brothers. Blood Brothers was such a good play. I saw it 3 times, twice in a big theater and once as a high school production. And I have to tell you, if you haven't had a chance, you should see Blood Brothers. I'm going to tell you what Wikipedia says about Blood Brothers. Then I'm going to give my little synopsis, and I'm not going to give away the ending. So there will be no spoiler alert here. So Blood Brothers is a musical with book, lyrics, and music by Willie Russell. The story is a contemporary nature versus nurture plot revolving around fraternal twins Mickey and Eddie. I'm going to stop right there. That's the gist of the show. But the show is so much. There are these brothers who were born fraternal twins. They were both, I should say, born to Mrs. Johnston. But Mrs. Johnston was poor. Her family was poor. She had a house full of kids and a husband who left her when she was pregnant. Well, she didn't know how she was going to feed another kid. But she found out she was pregnant with twins. And she worked for Mrs. Lyons, who was really rich and lived on the other side of town. And Mrs. Lyons wanted a kid and couldn't have one. So Mrs. Johnston found out she had twins, but she could really raise one more kid. They made a pact that Mrs. Johnston would give Mrs. Lyons one of her sons. And she did. She gave birth to twins, and Eddie, who was Edward Lyons, the rich kid on the other side of town, went to Mrs. Lyons. Well, Mrs. Johnston continued working as the maid for Mrs. Lyons while raising her son, Michael, who she called Mickey. She noticed one day that Mickey and Edward were getting close as friends, and this kind of upset Mrs. Lyons, so she fired Mrs. Johnston and told her to take her son and never come back. Well, she did that, and they didn't see each other anymore. Time goes by, the boys get older, they're in school, they realize they have the same birthday, and they become friends. They make a pact that they are going to be blood brothers. Mrs. Lyons is starting to realize her son is getting close to Mickey. She is going insane. And she doesn't want her son getting close to Mickey because the secret will come out that they are brothers. And Mrs. Lyons told Mrs. Johnston, if they ever found out that they are brothers, they will die. I'm going to leave it at that. I won't spoil the end, but that's how they become blood brothers. You got to see it. It really, truly is a great show.
Tell me it's not true. Say I only dreamed it, and morning will come soon. Tell me it's not true. Say you didn't mean it. Say it's just pretend. Say it's just the end of an old movie from years ago. Of an old movie with Marilyn Monroe.
I went to 2 shows also. And that we didn't know each other back then.
Pictures? Did you get pictures? What?
Oh, I have my pictures. I've posted my pictures before on my social media of me and David and Danny.
Yeah, I wish I knew you back then, Doris, because we did so many similar things together.
That's amazing that you guys all went to the same
and in the
shows.
same places, yeah.
Yeah, so I went to 2 shows also, but it wasn't on the same days.
Oh.
I think it was different days.
I think we were on that October date together.
I did October 10th or something. I think I went to one.
And I think that's the day I was there, my second show.
Okay. All right. So the first show, I get tickets for my husband and my daughter. We're going to go as a family to go see it because I had just gotten married. So I don't want my husband thinking I'm running for David Cassidy. So we go do the first show. But then I got tickets again for another show. And me and my friend went to see the show. And this time we waited after the show in the lobby. And there's people standing around hoping to meet him and stuff. And we don't know what's going to happen. But all of a sudden, David Cassidy walks out and he's greeting the people in the lobby, which I've never seen before. Usually these people go out the back door. But he comes out the lobby and starts talking to us. So we got our picture with him and we had a nice conversation with them. And I think that was the last time I saw David, was that back in 94.
Wow.
So I have pictures of that.
That was a great, great show. I really loved Blood Brothers.
It was really good.
It was such an emotional, good show.
It was.
And I wish I could have seen it with Shaun, but I'm not too upset that I didn't.
Yeah, I was upset that Shaun didn't come with because I was hoping to get my ideal picture, Shaun and David together. I was looking forward to it because I knew they were in New York, but Shaun couldn't move to the show in Chicago because he had to go finish his project with American Gothic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he could not.
Busy Shaun.
Yeah, so then whatever stand-in or whatever took Shaun's place in Chicago, and unfortunately I didn't get that picture, but I got one with David.
Yeah, so they did wind up together on Broadway. Oh, it was great.
They did, and it was a very good show. I would recommend it to anybody.
Yes. If you guys can imagine this, I think he's thinking of making the Magic of a Midnight Sky show into a Broadway production.
Well, they had a special relationship, and I think at the end, Shaun was with them. So
it all ties
full circle.
Together. Yeah. They do have a very special. David and Shaun had a very special bond, and I'm really glad that we got to do this episode on David and Shaun.
Because, like Shaun said, not many people get to experience that teen idol status, and he can relate that with his brother. You know, that's their special thing together.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Two of the biggest teen idols, David and Shaun Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then when he talks about his brother in his shows, he becomes very teary-eyed during that time.
Yeah, there was actually another song he was going to sing, but he said he couldn't get through it. You Ain't Heavy, You're My Brother.
Yeah, You Ain't Heavy.
He couldn't get through the song without crying, so he switched it to I'll Meet You Halfway.
Yeah, because he
is his best friend.
Yes. Yes, we all feel it when he sings that song, don't we?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So,
But what an honor to David from Shaun to go out now and do this in his honor part of it.
Yeah, you're right. It is kind of in his honor, and it kind of ties it all up. There's the summary of their relationship together.
Right.
They were, I don't think anybody else will ever be able to say that they were two of the America's top teen idols.
I mean, can you think of any? Even the Osmonds were not like that way.
No,
they were a group.
So that's always
Or the
gonna
Jackson
be
5.
Right.
Shaun and David.
Yeah.
Right. Even Michael Jackson didn't have a brother at his status
No.
that he was at.
No,
but
not
Shaun and
at all.
David kind of
Shaun
matched
and David,
each other.
Yeah, they did. They
No,
sure did. Yeah.
That was awesome.
I mean, Patrick could have followed them too, but Patrick said no to Teen Idol.
Yeah, he went straight to
They
Broadway.
were after him.
Another Cassidy. It's been 3 years.
Patrick wanted to do theater.
Theater, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was really nice that he showed up at the concert that we were at for Shaun.
Mm-hmm.
But then that was the concert that Shaun was honoring his their brother, David.
I'll meet you halfway. That's better than no way. There must be some way to get it together. And if there's some way, I know that someday we just might work it out forever.
We could go on all day talking about Shaun and David. We really loved them, and they truly were and always will be blood brothers. Why don't you tell us which brother made your heart throb?
Thank you from the bottom of our teen dream hearts.
Keep on crushing.
Always believe in magic.
And have a peaceful, Shauntastic week.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and make sure to keep in touch with us on our email.
ShaunSquadSociety@gmail.com.
The Shaun Squad Society podcast, including past, present, and future versions, and its contents, are owned and controlled by the Shaun Squad Society. The views and opinions are solely those of the Shaun Squad Society podcast. The Shaun Squad Society is written and produced and recorded at the Borden Studios. We may think we are always right, but we will get something wrong from time to time. So we assume no responsibilities or errors of submissions of content.